This one's kind of a favorite. It's by a Spanish artist, Cecilia, and it's painted on wax. And it just has this very fine, beautiful coloring in it. And I'm not quite sure how he manages to do that, but that's always been one of our favorites.
Fantastic. I mean, it's so inspiring.
But if you go and hit it, you'll see that it's really bronze.
If you're lucky enough to get a tour of Qualcomm founder Irwin Jacobs' multi-million-dollar art collection, you'll see works by some of the world's most famous artists, such as Picasso and glass sculptor Dale Chihuly. But it's a series by painter Ed Ruscha that attests to the impact Jacobs and Qualcomm have had on technology and the American landscape.
Ed Ruscha is a very famous American artist now, one of the top artists in the country. And back in the early mid-90s, he had painted 5 paintings of what he said were buildings in Los Angeles. And then he got those back from museums, and he painted 5 more to show what happened in the decade since they were originally painted. And it's kind of downhill. He called it Course of Empire. But one of them was a telephone booth. And so 10 years later, just a gap, no telephone booth. And that, of course, is because of cell phones. So this painting is a missing telephone booth. And we thought that was quite pertinent to us.
Although now retired from Qualcomm, Jacobs thinks the cell phone will continue to revolutionize everyday life, especially in healthcare, and power San Diego's entrepreneurial ecosystem. Paint a picture of 10 years from now. I mean, what kind of changes are we going to see?
I think the next major industry here in San Diego is going to be telemedicine. The ability to have different sensors that can monitor different aspects of your health, send some of that information a very short distance to your cell phone, which is a huge computer, a very powerful computer. And so we're beginning to make a significant progress in these different devices that will allow you to, in a sense, personalize medicine. And because of the fact we have both the biotech side and the communication side here, and again, universities, State University, others turning out some very good students, I think we're just going to see a great growth here. Talking about other areas, I think other parts of the country, I think that they should be looking also, depending on what their own strengths might be, at these possibilities. Strength here, strength there, bring them together and make something even greater.
Before starting Qualcomm, Jacobs taught at MIT. In 1966, he joined UC San Diego. This former teacher sees cell phones playing a major role in education as well.
We've been talking about technology in education for 30 years without having much impact. This decade, we're going to see a major impact of technology on education, and in particular, mobile devices that students have with them 24/7, have access to the information, able to communicate with one another, a lot of peer-to-peer communication. And so this decade, I think we're going to see major differences. But education is really the key to just about everything that we do. And without a good, firm education, then it's hard to really start an exciting company, a company that's going to do something innovative. You need people that are thoughtful, but are also well-trained. So the educational system, we think, is key.
Do you think entrepreneurship can be taught?
To a small extent, I think so. I think it's more an attitude of being open, of looking for new approaches, not just to make a little change in what might exist. Go out, look for something larger, take the risk to try to make it happen, and then if you're successful, that you can sell that product, have a market for it, and then use that income to continue to build your way up. But you always have to continue to work hard, and you can't ever slow down. Once you decide you're satisfied with something, people are going to run right by you, and that would be a problem.
Jacobs, San Diego's most successful entrepreneur, is optimistic about the region's entrepreneurial ecosystem, even though it's sometimes overshadowed by Silicon Valley.
Well, first of all, I think as far as venture capital and funding availability, it's clearly more available up in Silicon Valley. And I would say there's more of a approach to employees leaving a company and going off and either joining another company or a lot of job hopping. San Diego's much more stable. It's not that there isn't some job hopping, that people aren't interested in new areas, startups, but it's possible here to have and grow a company, grow a large company, without having people continually in and out. Keeping an employee in your company is perhaps the most important thing that you can do. So I think we have advantages because it's a growing area, it's an exciting area, but it doesn't have quite that intense competition that you'll see up in Silicon Valley. So I think we've been very successful, and we're going to continue to be very successful. One of the things about San Diego, I think that's a bit unusual, is that so many of the people in my age group, certainly, but even somewhat younger, came from elsewhere and are very happy to be out here. And that leads to a tremendous sense of cooperation, of feeling cooperation. So you don't find as competitive a situation as you might elsewhere. The various institutions work together, various companies help each other. In 1985, we set up Connect, which was again to help various companies get into a startup mode. And so there is, I think, what is unusual about San Diego, this feeling of cooperation, of trying to help others. If others succeed, we all succeed.